Just leave it. Good morning. My name is Rico Dents, and today is June 29th over here at Vermont State Capitol, Mount Pillier. We're in room 11, which is a very beautiful building, and I thank you for all coming here today. And I'm excited about the Great Ribbon Rally, and really the goal is to connect, get the conversation going for people who've dealt with cancer, help with the families, the young adults who've dealt with cancer as well, and really connect the different cancer agencies to work better legislatively and make more awareness of the needs of people who've dealt with cancer. On November 23rd, actually it was November 22nd, I woke up and I couldn't read a book anymore. Imagine waking up to that. That's a scary experience. And then I couldn't see someone's face 4 feet away. And I was like, okay, I gotta go to the eye doctor and I gotta go now. Call them up, set up the appointment. And after setting up the appointment, I saw them. And the lady was like, well, you gotta go see a retina specialist. I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, okay, now there's a retina specialist. Then went to the retina specialist that day. Got on the bus, hopped on over. It was I just barely made it right on time before the retina specialist said he couldn't see me. And then during the visit, he's like, I don't know what you have. I don't know if it's cholesterol or it's cancer. But your eyes are like someone who's been affected with, someone in their 80s. Your eyes you have a lot of hemorrhaging going on. And we might have to do injections, but you really need to go get blood work. Well, the next day, I fasted, planned on going to get blood work done. Went to the doctors. By the time after seeing the doctors, the blood work place was closed. I was lacking energy, really tired. Went to eat because I hadn't eaten anything all day. It took me a half an hour to eat a burger, which normally I could pop in 5 seconds. So I knew something was wrong. I was feeling lack of energy and tired. So I decided that evening I was going to go to the hospital and get checked out. Because it was also the week of Thanksgiving. If I got blood work done, it might be 2 or 3 weeks before I get answers. And I'm like, this needs to happen now. So this whole spawned out. I learned out I ended up having blood cancer. And I was like, uh-oh, blood cancer, okay. Hopefully it's not leukemia. And then I found out it was leukemia. But I ended up having it's called chronic myeloid leukemia. And it's a treatable cancer, but it has the energy levels and it also has different... I also have chemo brain. Sometimes I get a little forgetful. And I've learned to deal with stress. And once I deal with stress, I can be more focused and it helps me with the chemo brain. And there's a financial burden that I learned from dealing with the cancer because my medication's $11,000 a month. Yeah, with the new changes within the healthcare system, there's still a lot of upfront cost that you have to pay up front. But when I had a bad roommate and other stuff, I just ended up getting depressed and then having to go through group therapy and ended up being homeless for a while too. And there was a lot of challenges that had happened. And I realized we had a need for young adults and how to deal with, when you don't have necessarily the family structure or the financial support for families, or even the emotional support for families, because I've learned people are like, hey, you're faking your symptoms, or you're not working hard enough through your symptoms, or get that famous cure, drink this and you're going to be healed. There's a lot of different dynamics to dealing with young adults who deal with cancer. There's people, once they get diagnosed, they're scared of even getting into a relationship. They're scared they lose friends. They lose friends. They have to now make decisions. Am I going to continue to go to college, or stop treatment for a while? Communicate with the teachers. There's so many different dynamics of young adults who get cancer. There's a lot of questions that we need to connect better between the medical staff, between even the social worker and communicating information. And then also the young adults, when sometimes they're in pediatrics because certain cancers are treated better within the pediatric system. So they're in children's hospital, and they're like 20 or 22 or 25 even. Some of them have a maximum of 29 years old. Then there's people who are 28 years old. One of the ladies that I know, she got colon cancer, stage 4. She's 20 years old, and she's with all the older people. And there's like the lack of connection and the emotional support that is difficult for people dealing with young adults with cancer. Well, I will get a little bit more about my story, but I wanted a couple of speakers to come and introduce themselves and talk.
So my name is Erica Scott, and I am 30 years old, and I'm a board member of the Lamoille Area Cancer Network. I joined the network after my great aunt Mary Hoisington, one of the founding members of the network, passed away due to pancreatic cancer after already going through breast cancer and a double mastectomy earlier in her life. My aunt Mary, along with Margie Dean and Fluff Reynolds, were members of a breast cancer support group and quickly realized that there was a greater need for support and in the Lamoille area and all over the state, but in the Lamoille area specifically. And then not just a need for all cancer patients, not just the breast cancer patients, both emotional and financial. So in 2000, the Lamoille Area Cancer Network came to life. And the mission of LACN is to act as an emergency fund to help people in the Lamoille area with small grants while they're going through treatments and through their journey with cancer. All the administrative services are donated. There are no paid employees of the organization, just volunteers. And this means that 100% of all of our donations are used to assist cancer patients in the area. In the network's first year, we gave out $3,750 to individuals receiving cancer treatment. In 2010, skipping ahead a little bit, we reached our first milestone and had issued just over $1 million in grants to the Lamoille area residents with cancer. And in 2015, we reached our second milestone and had given out just over $2 million in grants. Currently, the network gives out 1,000 grants a year, totaling over $200,000. And obviously, this wouldn't be possible without some very special events, which include a Sweethearts Dance, which raised $5,700 its first year, and has now grown to this last year raising over $28,000. And then there's our biggest fundraiser called the Lacing Up for Cancer event, which is a 12-hour event, kind of similar to the Relay for Life, which we actually just had this past week. In 2003, it raised $68,000 and continues today with over 100 teams this last weekend. And while we haven't heard a total, I think it was somewhere around $184,000. So we would not be what we are today without the Lacing Up for event and numerous other events like that throughout the year. So that's kind of how our network survives, basically. And unfortunately, we all know someone that has had cancer or has cancer. And whether you're young or old, cancer is a horrible disease, not only just for the patient, but for the friends and family too. But one incident involving cancer affected my life a little differently than the others. Going back to the woman I mentioned earlier, my great aunt Mary. When I was a child, my sister and I spent a lot of time with her at her house. We would dress up, have tea parties, forts in the house, and she definitely spoiled us. She never said no to us, but as I got older, I lost part of my connection with her through my teenage years. When you're young, you don't really think about people getting old, and time isn't a factor, and you always kind of think there will be another day. Fortunately, before she passed, I was able to renew our bond by moving back in and helping take care of her. And through my time with her, that was where I sort of learned the importance of family and the art of listening, which I'm still working on, the true meaning of compassion, and so much more. And she had a heart of gold, always saw the best in people. She was pretty incredible. LACN meant the world to her, and helping people was part of her DNA. And even in the last few days of her life, when she was told by doctors there was nothing more they could do for her, she remained selfless, caring more about the fate of the network than anything else. And I will never forget that day. When the doctor came in and said there was nothing more they could do for her except keep her comfortable, she didn't get angry, she didn't cry, she just nodded her head. When the doctors left, she asked someone in the room to call the president of the network, Peg DeMars. When Peg arrived, that was when she broke down. She made Peg promise to keep the network going when she was gone. And while this story is sad, to me, it shows exactly the type of person she was. She wanted more than anything in the world for the network to continue on. Our family is very fortunate to have her as a beacon of hope, and I think of her every single day, and I wish she was here to see all this good work we continue to do, fighting for this cause and making huge strides year after year. So thank you for allowing me to be here today and talking about my connection to cancer and why I continue to do my part to help keep the network as vibrant and energetic as it is today.
So I have the privilege of being the executive director for the Cancer Patient Support Foundation. I think everybody in Vermont has a connection to cancer, unfortunately. I have yet to find one family that doesn't have a story to tell, and usually the story doesn't have a happy ending. I lost my dad to cancer a number of years ago, and I joined that club that no one wants to join. But being at the foundation gives me some hope that we can actually make a difference. You know, we can't necessarily stop cancer, we can't cure it tomorrow, though we're working on it, but what we can do is help people who are living with it and help their families. So what we do at the foundation is really help provide financial support, psychological support, nutritional support, not only for the patient, but for the entire family, because everybody is going through that journey together. One of the things we're proud to offer is a counseling program at UVM where young college kids who are away from home for the first time, families sometimes living in California, different countries, have no support. They're either just diagnosed or they came here after diagnosis, and they have formed a bond. They meet, they talk together with their peers, and they kind of get that support they need because they don't have their family right here to help them through that cancer journey. And you know, older people, 20s, 30s, they're getting psychological counseling also because they need to be able to think clearly about the decisions they need to make and how they want to live their lives, because you know, it's not about having cancer, it's about living your life with cancer. And it's, you know, it's a long journey. Some people are in treatment for years, some people have reoccurrences. So we try to help them through that journey and make them as healthy and happy along the way as they can. What we find is economic issues tend to be the ones that scare them the most. I recently talked to a lady with stage 4 breast cancer, bedridden, and she told me her biggest fear was money, not the cancer. Because she said, we're going to lose our house. You know, my husband gave up his job. There's nothing we can do. And that's her biggest fear. And it makes us sad that when someone's struggling to live, that their biggest fear is financial. We have a lot of people who delay treatment because they can't afford different procedures. I talked to a gentleman the other day who needed to have his teeth removed, and he's a young man, so pretty traumatic because he has decay, and if you have decay in your teeth, you can't get radiation if you have a cancer of the neck. So he delayed treatment for 3 months trying to raise enough money to have his teeth removed because his insurance company said that was a dental issue, not a medical issue. And we hear those stories every day. So the foundation tries to do its part to help people not only get the treatment they need, but get the support, you know, childcare, transportation. We spent $60,000 last year buying gasoline so people could afford to get to treatment. You know, we spent tens of thousands of dollars on food. We had a lady leave the clinic and said, it's a Friday afternoon, and she said, I have no food for my child, and I'm not gonna be able to get any money until Monday. So us to be able to give that kind of emergency financial support so they can have food for the weekend. You know, these are things that people don't think about. They think if you have cancer and you have health insurance, then what's the problem? The problem is your expenses go up and usually your income goes down. You know, in January we get flooded with people who have not met their deductibles yet. So, you know, those $2,000, $10,000, $12,000 prescription cost is out of pocket until they hit that out-of-pocket maximum. We have people who, you know, just can't make their rent payment because they work in the service industry or they're self-employed, and when they don't work, they don't get paid. So we talk to landlords and try to delay evictions. We pay back taxes so people don't have their houses claimed. You know, it's all these issues that you want to think that aren't really important when someone's fighting for their life that becomes the center of their life. I have talked to patients who bring in paperwork that's literally a foot high and past bills, and they are so stressed out that they can't even think about what treatment they should take. So I'm really proud the foundation is trying to do its part to help as many Vermonters as possible. Last year we helped 530 people throughout the state of Vermont. We gave out $169,000, and we also awarded over $70,000 to facilities to help with psychological and nutritional counseling. So our goal is to provide more help to kind of bring hope home and let people know that they're not alone, because what we hear from our patients is they feel like they're alone, that this is their singular battle, that there's no one to help them. And oftentimes, many of our patients don't have family, or they're new to the area and don't even have friends. So we become part of that support system to help them make it through this difficult journey. So our goal is to bring hope home and make sure Vermonters get the services they need.
Thank you, Erica and Sarah, for coming to speak today. And this is an important discussion, and both of you had important things to say. And it's very needed within the whole Great Ribbon Rally and all cancers. I mean, I have friends who have sarcomas, lymphomas. Some of the sarcomas are rare, so they don't necessarily find the other friends or other people because there's only 200 that has happened in the last 5 years, or they're the first case in 5 years. I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics of it, and sometimes you do want to connect with someone who's had the same issue, and at the same time you're happy that they don't have the issue. I had my grandfather pass away from lung cancer. I had my grandmother pass away from thyroid cancer. They were both smokers, and my dad is also a smoker, and he died of esophageal cancer. So I've had my family affected through cancer. My dad died in 2012. He also, might have been exposed from the Agent Orange in Vietnam and stuff. But I know smoking is not a good thing. I've seen that way too much within my family. I didn't expect when I was in my 30s being diagnosed with a chronic cancer. And it's difficult. It's like, okay, here's your family. My family's out in California, and I'm out in Connecticut. I've had that small social structure as you're getting yourself back up on your feet, or something like a business venture that I had started didn't necessarily go financially positive. It's difficult when you don't have much saved up and dealing with cancer. But I mean, even when you have money saved up, because you have your bills and other things, there's a lot of stuff that happens all at once and a lot of decisions that takes place. And dealing with cancer is, especially as a young adult, you have all these other decisions that you did not know you're going to be facing, from fertility issues, even saving the embryos or sperm and all that. There's a lot of other things that need to take into consideration. And having that conversation, because the medical staff is there to help you get treated and get better. There's not always enough information on what happens afterwards and what are the side effects and what are potential side effects. And those are the conversations that I'm wanting to help get connected a little bit early on. But at the same time, as us dealing with young adults, and even anyone in any age dealing with cancer, you can take only so much information all at once. And it's trying to find the balance of, hey, what mental health issues might come, or what, you having your anxiety, being scared of the new scan, what might happen. Even better connections with bone marrow. One of my thoughts is somehow within the legislative process is actually making it where the doctors are required to ask about if they've been registered with the bone marrow registry. It's a simple saliva swab, and we could, anytime a new patient comes in, they ask that on the annual physical, and that could connect us better with people who've had leukemia, lymphomas, or need the stem cell or the bone marrow transplants. There's a lot of things that we could do better as a society to help people dealing with cancer, both financially and physically. And I'm excited to hear later today what Joe Biden's going to be talking about, and the silos, and he was mentioning about the silos. I mean, all different research from cancer treatments to all these different, to come better together and work better together. And I'm hoping to be a part of that whole conversation to help from pre-treatment to post-treatment, and to help educate people a little bit better once they've gotten diagnosed with cancer, and help out financially. Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for joining the Great Ribbon Rally.